He's straight in there, right where I'm at right now, going across that cliff over there. Right. Okay, he's over here now. Instead of taking trails, you just side-hilled all through this shit. It was on top of this cliff. Came down that, straight down, and then walked over. Now he's over there. About ready to disappear over the side.
Right. Here we are. What day is it today? It is Thursday, December 4th. Holy cow. Thursday, December 4th. Quite the video yesterday, right? Quite the video yesterday. That'd be kind of interesting to see a human being try to do that echo hike. Right? Now, moving along. Man, I had a shitty sleep last night. Ate some bad food last night. Gave me heartburn, bunch of other crap. Discomfort for the night, but no big deal. Did some big hikes today. And I'm moving along, making progress. I'll fill everybody in on my adventure after it's done. But anyway, I'm going to share a couple of odd things that happened yesterday. And I want to know if anyone else has had something similar happen, okay? So the first odd thing happened to me. I got to where I was going to go do a big mountain hike. And I was on this old deactivated road. Up in a hump, fairly high up, light snow. One snag, like with 2 or 3 branches, like a full-on snag out in the open, old rotten tree about 25 yards from me. No trees around me at all, up in this hump. And I'm tying up my boots, changing out of my boots, standing on a plastic bag behind my truck, changing into my hunting boots, and I kept hearing this click, 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 and then something, and then a weird noise at the end. I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm looking around, and I look, and here's this great big raven, and his head's all bobbed out like Tina Turner, kind of, you know, this great big lion's mane, bobbed out head on the raven. His feathers are all out, and then he's looking at me, and then he makes a few more clicks, and I look at him, and I go, oh, you see me as the predator, don't you? Because I know they follow wolves and grizzlies around waiting for that free meal. And I go, all right, you think we're going to get him? Come on, let's go get him. Meaning, I'm going to go get a big buck. And I literally looked down at my boot. I'm tying my boot. I'm looking up, tying my boot. And I looked down, I looked up. He's gone. Gone. And there is absolutely no way he flew away. There's no way. I went like this. And on a big hump, no timber anywhere for a backdrop to make him disappear as he's flying away, like wide open sky. He probably had to have flown, I don't know, over 100 meters just to get to the nearest forest line, timber line, backdrop cover. You know, it's just wide open sky on the top of this hill. So that was odd for me. Anyway, I'm sure there might be some kind of explanation for it, some fluke weird thing. I don't know. Anyway, it's just really weird for me. Then, almost 5 minutes later, Sarah texts me and she goes, you're not going to believe what just happened. You're going to think I'm crazy. And I'm like, these days, with all of the truth we all share with each other, why would I think anybody's crazy about except for true crazy people, but you know what I mean. When it comes to odd things happen, I go, well, so I phoned her. She's crying. Not like sobbing or anything, but she's still upset and crying. And before I left, we only had 2 meat birds out of 90. And we grew them as big as I could get them. They're huge. And I butchered them and cleaned them, plucked them and everything before I left. And then she was putting the heat bags on them yesterday, where you seal them up for the freezer. And her and Ruby were in the kitchen. Now get this one. She was sniffling, crying. She says, both me and Ruby clearly heard Griffin barking in the living room. Like, what? No way. And I'm not going to question Sarah. Come on. And she said that Ruby even went running into the living room. Ears perked up. Bizarre. So that's my question to all of you. Have any of you had something like that happen with animals? I know it happens with humans. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But I don't think I've heard of an animal coming back and saying, hey. And that's where he passed, was in the living room too. But since he's passed, like normally Ruby will lay on our bedroom floor. She won't sleep in the bedroom. And she's been in the house a couple times. She's looking up like this and looking up towards the ceiling in the kitchen, and her eyeballs following something since Griffin passed away. And I kept on saying to Sarah, I go, I think Griffin's still hanging out here because she's acting weird. There you go. There's my 2 items, and I'm full on curious if anybody else out there can relate, and if you can, throw it down in the comment section, please. I'd like to hear about it, all right? I'm sure somebody else would too. But it's just like my grandfather seeing what he saw. He said he saw it, he saw it. Sarah says she heard that, she heard it. No question about it. Now, who do we got next? What's this? Hold on a minute. Hold on. Where am I? All right, let's get into this. Fresh out of the oven. This is titled Oklahoma Cave Incident. Steve, hello, and I hope all is well with you and your loved ones. Please do not share my name. I wanted to tell you a story from someone who was not able to share it themselves due to health issues. This incident took place in Oklahoma many years ago. I was not there, but my loved one and his childhood friend were. There used to be a cave in a rural area that was unsafe for most anyone to venture inside. From what I was told, getting inside it was not all that easy. The potential for being bitten by venomous snakes was a valid concern. Weird. I wonder why snakes go in caves. I wonder why they do that. Is there food sources in there? I do not know if my own father ever climbed inside the cave. He regularly hunted the area and explored several rural areas of one particular Oklahoma county. It wouldn't be surprising to learn that that his curiosity got him to explore that cave as well. And for what I'm told, the main thing that got these other 2 guys to travel back to the cave and attempt to see the interior was that one of them had previously found Sasquatch tracks inside. Ooh. Only one of them was willing to actually climb inside. My loved one had to lower the other guy down into it. They said that if one followed the cave interior far enough, that it eventually became tunnels. The fear of being snake bit prevented going into those tunnels. What ultimately ended that day's cave exploration, and any other future visits, was a frightening sound of an unknown animal hollering further inside the cave. Both of those guys grew up hunting, fishing, and hiking those wooded hills and valleys, and neither of them recognized that neither of them recognized that gosh awful high volume sound that erupted just as the one guy was attempting to better explore the cave interior. He retreated as fast as he could and pleaded with his friend above to pull him out fast. They said whatever it was further inside was roaring loudly at them. Both knew the sounds that mountain lions make. They said that it for sure was no mountain lion or other typical predator. It was big for sure, they said. The guy safely got out, and they both left that area. That's creepier than shit. Years later, the county hired a construction company to destroy the cave completely. Not sure if that was for safety reasons or why exactly. My loved one was one of the men who helped with that project. He mentioned that numerous copperheads and rattlesnakes and others were found after the destruction of it. It had been a while since I had heard my loved one tell this story, and so I asked him to tell it again. Not once has his version of it ever changed. The details told are always the same. Kind of wish the cave was still there, but I for sure would never try to go inside, even if permission was granted by the landowner. The area is well known for abandoned coal mines, which have a long history of cave-ins and much more. A lot of people lost their lives while working those mines. Have a great day, everyone. Spooky. Spooky. Lowered into a cave with roars coming out. Yeah, I'll pass. I'm good. Crazy. There's so much crazy shit going on for real, isn't there? I appreciate that email and the time you just donated to everybody here, big time. And I hope you have a great Christmas. Thank you. This next one is titled My Hairy Man and Me. Well, I lived in Natchez, Mississippi, 2009. We lived on 12 acres, plus or minus, woods with a 22-acre lake on the backside of the Indian Mounds by the Natchez Trace. Very rural. My husband and son would stay in town in our 40-foot Winnebago during the week for his job and my son's college. So it's just myself and my disabled grandson, who is 5 years old. He's a bedbound quadriplegic. Oh, sorry to hear that. 5 years old. 5 years old, he's a bedbound quadriplegic. And his 2-year-old sister who lived with us, and I'm their only caregiver at the time, just the three of us. I'd always loved sitting outside at night on a hill right in front of our house, watching the deer and the wild boars and other wildlife cross our property to our 2-acre pond in front. It was my peaceful, unwinding, quiet time. I've been feeding wild abandoned dogs that would come looking for food. I did this right before dark, every day/dusk. We had been given clues and signs of Bigfoot being around our area, but just never crossed my mind. One clue was our dogs running off towards something in the back toward our lake. My son and husband were out back, and our dogs took off towards a loud squeal sound. My son followed them to see what it was. Next thing I know, here comes my dogs and my son running back, and I asked what was wrong. He said he saw the big trees being shaken, and the dogs ran past him back home. So he wasn't going to wait and see what our big bad dogs were scared of. I laughed, shook my head at my 6'4", 185-pound son, and called him a weenie. And once in a while, we could smell an awful smell. Smelled like sewer, but never could find the source of it. But it was bad, very bad. Run me into the house bad, LOL. I remember there had been a mother black bear that had been found dead in the trace. Her 2 cubs were missing, and the wildlife rangers were searching for them. When they found the mother, there was no open wounds, just a little blood coming from her nose and mouth. They said it was like she was squeezed to death. There were several signs, but back then I just never thought of Bigfoot. Then one day during the week, I was late getting the food out for the wild dogs. It was right before dusk, and when I got to the spot that I dumped the food at, which was just 25 feet from my front door, as I got to the spot, I heard a growl. I looked up expecting to see my dog, but oh my goodness, there it was, right behind the tree line, walking back and forth, agitated, growling, grunting, and yelling. Because I was late with the food. Oh my. It shook the trees very upsettedly, growling loudly. I just kept looking at it, comprehending what I was looking at. A huge, bigger than huge, hairy man. You guys hear that part? Hairy man. Just making sure. A mad one. Well, okay. Then I started talking to it, calmly, telling it I was very sorry I was late, that it won't happen again. He was still upset, but I was gentle, and my soft, calm voice seemed to help as he calmed down. My calmness seemed to ease him, but he kept pacing and swaying. I was never afraid of him. I did not feel threatened or in danger. I don't know why, but I was okay with it. Holy shit. No shit. Crazy. So I bent down, scraped the food onto another plate that I leave there, continuing to speak softly all through this. I stood back up and made a remark that I hoped you liked my cooking, and I started walking backwards to the house. I wasn't stupid, LOL. I reached my door and went inside. I thought a moment, then went to the floor-to-ceiling windows for our atrium, trying to get another look. The motion detector light was still on, but I couldn't see anything due to the curve of the house. I waited 15 minutes, then went outside, and the plate was gone, and no food on the ground. And I thought, so that's why the motion detector light keeps coming on. But never could see anything. He had been watching us all along, knowing all about me and my 2-year-old little baby girl, and my sweet 5-year-old disabled little boy. We were no threat. I told my husband and son what had happened, and of course they laughed at me, but I didn't care. I knew what just happened. I know the connection that was just made, and it was wonderful. The next weekend, my husband and son came home in the Winnebago. They parked it in the driveway on that same side of the house when they are home. My son liked to stay in it to get peace from the 2-year-old and to call and text girls, LOL. Well, that night, my son slept in it. The next morning, he came busting into the front door, all aggravated and upset, telling me that I wasn't very funny. I asked what he was talking about, and he said, "Don't play games, Mom. I know it was you." I said, "What was me?" He said, "All that banging and the rocking, the Winnebago, throwing rocks at the window and grunting." I said, "Son, it wasn't me, I swear." I said, I can't rock that big 40-footer. I told him to come outside. Let's look. So we did. And I tried to rock the motorhome, and I couldn't. Neither could my son. We looked at the dents, and I said, "Tell me what happened." And he did. He told me how scared he was, how the growling and the hitting on the sides of the walls freaked him out. Then the pebbles hitting the window that he was sitting at. He said it was like when he turned his head to look out the window that he was sitting at into the dark. It felt like something was right there looking right back at him. He then turned off the lights and laid on the floor, scared to death, and crawled back to the door. And crawled to lock the door. He ended up sleeping there, right there on the floor. I swore to him it wasn't me, but had an idea what it was. My son knew what I was talking about, but still would not believe it. That's probably why he wanted to accuse you. That's why he slept on the floor, terrified of Mom outside, right? A few days later, our 2 dogs disappeared. Now, that sucks. I kept calling for them, but nothing. Eventually, the next day, I saw the female across the road at the abandoned house property running back and forth from something. Then I saw what she kept running back to. Our male dog crawling home. She stayed by his side, never leaving him, encouraging him along, waiting for him to make his small moves forward to home. We ran to him, and my husband picked him up and carried him home. Took him to the vet, and she said she couldn't find any cuts or damage, but it looked like he was squeezed. Oh my goodness, I thought, just like the mama bear. Well, he passed away a few days later. Well, I started thinking of all the things that happened around there. The smells, the dogs frightened and running home, the movements of the huge trees, the mama bear being squeezed, and the 2 missing cubs, my son's experience and mine, etc., etc. And I realized that we had never had anything stolen or missing. No break-ins, no threats to me or the children, and we played outside a lot. Only towards my husband and son when they were home on the weekends. He protected us. A woman, a small 2-year-old little baby girl, and a 5-year-old sweet disabled little boy. We were all alone in the woods. Moved away after that due to my husband being transferred. I've always wondered about him, my hairy man. One day I hope to go back and see if he's still there. One day. I've never kept quiet about my interaction with the hairy man, and I do not care what people think about it, him or me. I let them laugh as I'm shaking my head at their small, closed-minded idiocracy. Let them laugh. I had a special moment with that hairy man that I'll never hide, I'll forget or regret. My name is Teresa Renee Maury Yerolam Fries Osborne. I wanted to include all of my names so that everyone will know that I am happy and proud to have met him. Share it all. There you go. Shared. That's a wild email. I'm glad it didn't go any more sour than it did, but I mean, come on. Killing our pets, that's like, come on. The pet's from the home. The pet's got a problem with you. He's got a problem with you because you're coming to the dog's home and his family's home. Don't kill it, you know? I'd be pissed if Ruby came home squeezed to death, you know? It's kind of shitty. But anyway, take from what you will, leave it, you guys. And if you ever go back, keep us posted. Keep us posted. That's a wild experience. But you're not the first one to express not being scared and having not a bad interaction. There's another short one called The Entity. Hello, Steve and the How to Hunt family. I was just listening to a video by Timothy Alberino where he brought up the Vatican, and its intelligence community. And this is something I found very interesting, especially concerning that you have brought up to us about making sure that entity is happy, that the governments do not care about us. It's about the entity, so here it goes. All right. Apparently, the Vatican Intelligence Agency is known as, among other agencies, as the entity. That's far bigger than all other intelligence agencies across the world. That is something we should check out. Thank you very much, Steve, and everyone else. And please give Sarah a big hug for us. We know how it is. And wish her comfort. Tara, appreciate those kind words, and I'll give her a big hug as soon as I get home. Yeah. The entity. There's a bunch of them around the globe right now. It's pretty sad state, you know? I'm starting to, with everything that I'm learning, all the truths that I'm learning, I learn nonstop. It's almost like, I almost feel like I'm part of a crop. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you realize that every single government in the world lies to the people and they're all parasitic. I'm not saying that with emotion. I'm just reading the facts. And then you look at how, especially today, no one ever has to answer to the people, period. Just lie straight to our faces and take everything we got. And where was I going with that? Yeah, the entity. I'm feeling like a crop. It's to the point now that I know what I know clearly, it's almost like I feel like I'm a crop, just like a herd of cattle, spring calves or the next generation for the crop, you know what I mean? To feed the entity. And it's frustrating, but I know that it is important to make sure we try to pursue being happy at all costs and having a higher vibration and try to fight through it, you know? There's just too much evil and negative out there today, and it's winning. Overall, it's winning, and it's kind of frustrating. Frustrates me, but I'm getting to the stage now. It's like, all right, I don't know. It's going to take it's almost like we're going to need another asteroid to smash the planet and clear the slate and start again with how out of control it is. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, but we have to salvage what we got and make the best of it too at the same time and try to be happy, right? Raise the vibration. I'm babbling. Haven't had much sleep. Appreciate that email. What do we got here? I'm going to read one more. One more. I was absolutely soaked through today and wet snow, so there's no way I could have done this outside with a good backdrop. Page 259, quote, "The teeth were extremely oversized." Steve, again, I want to thank you for your time and effort for all of us. Sorry, for all of us that belong to the group of no return. The Club of No Return. Yep. Nobody ever asked to join it. Once you're in for life. No way out of it. You don't even have to get a tattoo. Having a true outlet for our true encounters is something I cannot be more grateful for. I have shared 2 of my experiences with you, and you printed one in the book and read my other one to the group. I have watched every single video you have in regards to this topic. That is why I'm not afraid to share with you. Right on, man. I love reading that. During my times listening to the encounters others have shared, I too have had some of those similar experiences. I have one visual of a Bigfoot, and it was about 5 feet from me. Again, that is the experience you shared in the book. I too am a full-time fishing guide and 3rd-generation outdoorsman. I've seen the predator type of being. Followed me out of the woods through a cornfield with something pacing me, being charged by something in the dark near my home. You shared that experience on the channel. Had a small film crew on my boat and had something vocalized 5 times just inside the woods while I was fishing. And the sound was violently loud, and somehow the vocalization was not picked up on the audio. Holy cow, that's very interesting. I've seen one yellow orb/disc very close to the predator experience, although it was 20 years apart. Had a nighttime scare while elk hunting in the Rocky Mountains while inside my tent with my father and grandfather there. I sure would like to speak to you about these experiences on a possible live chat if you have the time. Hope this message finds you and yours in good health, spirit, and mindset. I do not know when this makes it to you, but I will be watching until then. If we never get to speak directly, I just want to tell you that I feel 100% free of the burden of my experiences, and I really believe they have a way to mark you. I've not had anything happen in over 11 years, and that I'm not upset about at all, although it has taken me out of the woods if darkness is in the equation. Gratefully, Matt, England. I do not care if you share my name because I'm not afraid that anyone hears my words because they are as true as the sun, earth, and everything around us. Sweet. Love it. In closing, for you only, my number is, okay, man, and I gotcha, Illinois. And about 3 or so years ago, another person, a woman, I believe, shared her experience from the same place. Decatur, Illinois. Yeah, I remember that. That sounds familiar. Decatur. Matt, appreciate you. I will mark this as look into, and you are in the column of get a hold of. As soon as my haywire life winds down from adventure season, and we can get this organized and get rocking. Let's find Nino. Nino Rodriguez got a hold of me the other day, wants to do another show with me, I guess. Let's get caught up. I like Nino. He's a solid dude. I don't watch his stuff that often because it's full-on coverage of doom and gloom, you know. There's some interesting stuff on there, but I like to mix it up. But anyway, good guy. I'll probably do a show with him, but I'll get a hold of you for sure, all right? When the time's right, we will get a hold of you, and we will get on here, and we will talk, and we will learn. Now I gotta go find some food. I'm so beat up. And I'm getting close to some success. Getting close. But I'll be back tomorrow for sure. Another thing too, I'll show you a video right now I got one of these videos I got on my camera for it's Christmas time. So if anybody wants to grab their spouse, trust me, if you are with a hunter, hunters are like anglers when it comes to trail cameras. There's never enough, and they love them, and they buy them, right? It's like, Sarah, what do you have for Christmas? Nothing. Just give me some fishing gear. You can't go wrong getting me more fishing gear. And I know I'm speaking for a lot of hunters. You can't go wrong getting a hunter a trail camera. You can't. There's never enough. So the link is in below. Here's a quick video, a couple of videos I captured off the Guard Pro trail camera. And again, I swear, the Guard Pro trail cameras are the best ones I've ever used. Period. And the first and only product that I've actually endorsed. Right? Isn't that funny? so funny. I was actually coming forward and sharing with my friends these cameras because they were cheaper and better than the over-marketed brand names of the other ones that I can't stand, and they've cost me thousands of dollars. And then I came across these by accident. I just more or less I went on Amazon and I bought 5 or 6 different brand names of trail cameras, and this was one of them. And it was unbelievable. The audio, everything was just awesome. And then I was about to share it with everybody, and by coincidence, the Guard Pro company, however they found me, emailed me and asked me if I wouldn't mind representing their camera and trying it out. And I'm like, sure, send me one, right? And here we are. So yeah, there's a 10% discount link on the howtohunt.com website. There's a whole page for it, all right? And I strongly would suggest, if you're stuck for getting your outdoors person a gift this Christmas, these cameras are a great one, and they're affordable. There you go. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Get me your truth. I'll share word for word. All right? Appreciate it, everyone. Be back tomorrow.
Perfect for make it look like a goddamn bird's neck sticking up.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That used to fuck with me pretty hard. I'd hunted. I'd coyote called at night some, not a whole lot, but it fucked with me pretty hard sitting out there, and especially when you had moonlight. And I didn't have fancy optics, night vision, or any of that shit. We just had a spotlight ready if we saw something. And man, after you sit there a while, you see all kinds of shit moving in the moonlight.
Yeah, you do.